Solving a Rubik's Cube, that's pretty easy. Solving some of these other cubes, that's probably pretty hard. But what if I had to do it blindfolded?
Oh yeah, and you only have 12 hours, by the way.
A normal Rubik's Cube is pretty forgiving. If you mess up, you can look at the cube, figure out what went wrong, and then go back and fix it. But if you're blindfolded, one mistake can ruin the past 20 minutes of planning and execution, and you might not even realize it. But hey, that's all part of the fun. So in the next 12 hours, I will solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. When I was a wee little boy, I loved solving Rubik's Cubes, but that was almost 10 years ago, and I haven't solved the Rubik's Cube ever since. So I naturally assumed that the first step to solving it blindfolded was to solve it while I could still see.
So I spent about 3 minutes digging through the very depths of my memory to figure out how to solve this thing. I remember what I did was I was trying to get like the white cross first. I have to get the corners of the white in. I gotta get these edges in. My muscle memory is serving me well, to be honest with you. So now we gotta get the yellow face filled. And then now we put like the mostly filled face to the back. And then you hit this one. Oh, okay. That's pretty good. Oh, I should have timed it, man. All right, let's see how fast I can do this if I tried really hard, okay? Whoa, dude, I did that sub 54 seconds. Yo, I'm kind of the GOAT, no? Wait, that was kind of, that was sick.
And wow. I'm not even kidding, that might be the fastest I've ever solved the Rubik's Cube, including when I was super addicted as a kid, which kind of seems sad if you really think about it, but whatever. Let's look on the bright side. Surely, if I can solve a Rubik's Cube within a minute, that means that blindfolded will be a breeze, right? So I looked up a YouTube tutorial on how to solve it blindfolded, and the first video that showed up was from my GOAT, J-Perm.
Learning to solve the cube blindfolded is easier than you might think.
Dude, I remember this guy from when I was a kid. Dude, this guy's still doing this? I feel like I remember this guy's from like super long ago. I feel like I've watched his videos before.
I remember this dude teaching me how to solve a cube when I was like 10 years old. So it was kind of nice hearing a familiar voice. But I'm not gonna lie, while watching the video, I ended up getting completely lost.
This piece is solved and I have another piece to work on. Now the tricky part is how to—
What the fuck? Wait, what? Okay, what just happened?
To make a long story short, this is the most basic way you're going to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. There's a method known as the old Pachman method, where you repeatedly swap specific pieces into the right place. There's one algorithm for edges and one algorithm for corners. Then, before putting the blindfold on, you'll memorize a sequence of letters. Those letters then become your guide to figuring out which pieces you have to solve in which order. So in theory, the process is pretty simple actually. You memorize the letters, do the algorithms, and then the cube basically solves itself. But that's in theory, because in practice, I didn't really understand the big picture yet. I was just kind of copying the moves in the tutorial and hoping that the cube would solve itself somehow.
This piece is solved and I have another piece to work on.
Interesting. So that takes this side, its corner, and puts it on the other side. So what this does, let's say I wanted to bring this to the opposite side without touching anything else. Then I follow that algorithm, right?
And I was right.
So that did exactly what I thought that was gonna do.
The next thing was setup moves, but this is kind of where I got confused again.
But how did he get, like, what was the bottom?
But the algorithms themselves weren't really the problem. The hard part was getting the piece in the first place to the right position. Then I'd do the algorithm and reverse the setup moves and hope I didn't create a whole new problem. Like, I would understand it when I'm watching the video, but then when I tried it myself, my understanding became purely theoretical. So I set a smaller goal first. Before even thinking about a full blindfolded solve, I thought to try and solve every edge piece just with the blindfolded method. No blindfold, no memorization, just solve the edges with the blindfolded technique. And I thought this would be pretty easy because, I mean, technically it's just one algorithm, right? But in reality, it took me over an hour to complete this task.
Like, I can't think, bro, oh my god. I fucked it up somehow. I completely fucked it up again somehow. Oh my god, this is so hard. This is so hard, this is so hard. I don't think it worked. Oh my god. I'm gonna die, I'm gonna fucking die, I'm gonna die.
I would try and try again, but I would always end up forgetting the algorithm, or I would forget where the piece was supposed to return to after I finished the algorithm. And either one of these mistakes would completely ruin the cube, which means all my progress was gone for the past few minutes.
A while later though, and I mean, A while later, I was finally able to solve the edges. Okay, so I actually think I just solved all the edges. Granted, I wasn't blindfolded, but okay, you know what? Good, nice.
After learning how to solve the edges, I naturally went on to learn how to solve the corners. And theoretically, this should be much easier because the concept's the same. You just switch around the corners, switch around the edges. Same thing, right? The only problem was that if I messed up solving the corners, it would generally also mess up the edges, which means I'd have to go completely back. So after messing up the corners just once, I kind of gave up and went back to practicing the edges. And the way I practiced was I would look at the cube, figure out which piece needed to go where, and then kind of temporarily blindfold myself by looking off to the right. Then I would do all the moves on the cube I needed, and then come back and look at it again, just so I could figure out the next piece to solve. And it worked pretty well, because after about an hour, I was able to solve every single edge on the cube with this practice method.
Down into this. I'm the fucking go, baby! Let's go, dude. I literally didn't even look at the cube the entire time while solving, other than just looking at like where the piece, okay.
If I seem really excited right now, that's because I am. Because I mean, I was basically blindfolded, right? Like I wasn't looking at the cube while solving it. So surely that just means that very soon I'll be able to solve the cube blindfolded, right?
But let's get back on track. It's time to actually learn how to solve the corners. Once again though, I was having some problems. I would mess up time and time again, and every single time I would mess up, it would completely screw up the edges. So I'd have to go back and fix all the edges before I was able to get any meaningful practice on the corners. I would get super close to solving it. Like all edges done, just a few corners left, but I would mess something up and have to restart the entire solve. Let's do corners now, let's do corners. This is just very hard. What happened? I don't know what's going on. What'd I fuck up this time? No, dude. No, what did I do wrong? That felt right though. No, dude. Whatever. But after 40 minutes of grinding, trying, and failing, I was finally able to complete my very first solve with the old Pokemon technique. Oh my god, I did it. And to try and reinforce what I just learned, I went on to try and do it again. But for some reason, once again, I was having some difficulties. This was the strange part about learning this method. Each successful solve made me feel like I understood, but then I'd completely mess up my next solve, and it'd make me feel like my last solve was just a figment of my imagination. But after 30 long minutes, I was able to complete my second solve. Yeah, I mean, I mostly did it without looking. This is a lot harder than the first time for some reason, though. I guess it's just because I took like a very long break, I suppose. God. Oh my god. That took a lot out of me, I can't lie. That actually took a lot out of me. At this point, I'd spent about 4 hours learning the old Pokemon technique, and I'd completed 2 full solves using it. There was just one very obvious problem. I could still see. So now, it's time to learn how to memorize the cube, which honestly wasn't too bad. Basically, you assign each square a letter from A to V, and then you figure out which piece needs to go where. And this seems super complicated, but in reality, all the letters and pieces are just arranged in a clockwise order, so if you ever forget which is which, you can just go back and recite the alphabet, and you'll be able to figure it out yourself. And I pretty much got this down within less than an hour, but mapping out each solve took a little bit longer just because I wasn't very familiar with it. Alright, now I have the letters down, it's time to turn them into something I can actually memorize. So following the advice of the tutorial, I started turning the letters into stories. They were all super nonsensical, but that's kind of the point. Woo CSGO, watches, Falcons, teleport during the game, and that causes them to go, aha, XD. And where do they teleport? To Dairy Queen. They got the OG Blizzard while listening to Nightcore while they reminisced about Kerrigan's KD. They ended up deciding that they were going to switch to an EA video game, which was a hoax. The more specific and borderline insane these stories are, the easier they are to remember. Anyways, after a bit of practice, I was able to get some of the edges down without even looking at the cube at all. Like for this attempt, it wasn't completely solved, but I could tell I was getting closer because some of the cross shapes were actually forming. Oh, yeah. I swear I did some of those right. Like, that was technically fully blindfolded, so, you know, I'm actually kind of getting the hang of this. Okay. And for the first time, it felt like solving this cube blindfolded would actually be possible. In fact, I started thinking that it was probably pretty doable within a day. So now, with that confidence, it's time to try my very first blindfolded solve 5 hours in. So first, I went through and wrote out the entire sequence, with every single letter I needed to memorize. And I came up with a very interesting story. Now I just need to memorize this. I guess the start could be like, maybe I could think like an ox, hit a nice shot, a pelican. The user interface was bad because, you know, when you get shot, it's not very fun. It's very bad. It's very bad. And then the UI of the website that showed this was wix.com. And the ox was a no-life from his personal view. Okay. And by the way, I don't have an actual blindfold, so I'll just be using this scarf for the rest of the challenge. And obviously, you know, you cannot see anything through it. Oh yeah, it also makes me look like a hipster. Anyways, I put the blindfold on and I got to solving. This is kind of scary, bro. I'm getting nervous, bro. Left, 2 up. So now here, 2 down, back here, and 2 up. Maybe I fucked it up already, bro. Like, who knows? Yep, you were right. You did in fact fuck it up already. On the very first turn, but I didn't know that, so I kept trying to solve this cube for another 15 minutes until I realized I made a completely different mistake.
Wait, but that wouldn't make sense. How does it make sense? Because I did this earlier. I did this side earlier. No. Something was wrong with my calculations here.
And I don't even know what I was yapping about anymore, but it doesn't matter because once again, I messed up on the very first move.
God damn it. It was just the planning phase. I think my execution was fine, right? Let's see. Oh my god, it was completely off.
But at this point, I'd only scratched the surface on how many different ways this could go wrong. The memorization could be wrong, the algorithms could be wrong, the execution could be wrong, the setup moves could be completely wrong, or even the orientation of the cube. And it only took one mistake out of 300 to 400-ish moves, and the entire solve would fall apart. And over the next few hours, I would make every single one of those mistakes. Like, look at this attempt. Here, I thought I finished the edges, and I wanted to show the camera.
Okay, this should be the crosses, the edges all solved. I'm not 100% on that. No! I was going to show...
But the second I showed the camera, I realized that I'd lost my hand positioning and I didn't know which side was facing me anymore. And once I lost which side was facing me, the run was basically dead. Because the whole solve depends on keeping the cube in the same orientation the whole time. Funny enough, this didn't matter at all because as you can probably see, literally none of the edges were solved at all. Which means I made a mistake way earlier in the run in the first place, but I didn't know that. There were many attempts where I figured out the solve, mapped everything out, and then instantly messed up an algorithm.
Alright, well, I figured it out. I messed it up on literally the first move. That's actually unbelievable. I went through the first move and then placed it on the wrong side and had blue facing up the entire solve. Bro, you gotta be joking, by the way. Oh my god, that pissed me off.
And since the memorization takes at least 10 minutes per run, it was super frustrating. And not to mention the parodies. Parodies are basically what happens when at the end of the solve, you need to input an extra algorithm. I'm not even gonna pretend I know why this happens, but the way you can spot it is if you have an odd number of letters when you're planning out the solve, you're gonna have to throw in the parody algorithm at the end. And this algorithm was complicated. So instead of loading the algorithm, my strategy was just to re-scramble the cube whenever it showed up. Which also ended up taking a lot of time because, well, they show up pretty often. So I'd go through about 5 to 10 minutes of mapping the solve out just for there to be a parody and I'd have to redo it all over again. And all of this accumulated in 4 hours of pure agony.
I fucked up the algorithm again. I'm actually so mad. Why? I need to practice the algorithm. Oh my god, dude. I gotta get through at least one of these, bro. I cannot do this for shit. I don't know why. What's wrong with me, man? Like, what is wrong with me, dude? Why can I not do this? Tell me why I can't do this. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's just do it. I'll just have to do this tomorrow. I can't handle it anymore, bro. Like, I'm done for the night, bro. This is not possible.
Map out the solve, create a story, memorize the story, mess up the solve. Map out a story, map out the solve, create a story, memorize the story, mess up the solve. Map, story, memorize, fuck up. Map, story, memorize, fuck up. Map, story, memorize. The next day, I had just a few hours before I had to leave, and to be honest, I wasn't even expecting to finish it anymore. I just wanted to get in a few good attempts and just kind of understand why I was failing so much.
Okay, so I have about 3 hours before I have to leave for something. So I'm gonna see if I can get a few runs in. Yeah, just get some practice in. I'm not really expecting to finish it today, but maybe just get some practice in, you know?
And honestly, the strat was kind of working. Instead of obsessing over solving it, I started treating my attempts less like shots in the dark and more like I was debugging the solve. If the cube was was wrong, I wanted to know why. Was it the memorization? Was it the execution? Was it the orientation of the cube? I didn't know, but I wanted to find out. So after about half an hour of studying up, I went through another full solve. And this was my first genuinely close attempt.
Dressed to Impress is the king, DTI-KG, of socks, S-O-Q.
But only on your RH right hand. In your right hand, you're holding figs, FG, in a box, BX.
I got that. Surely I got that. This should be solved, but it's probably not. It's probably not. Okay, I'm just gonna take it off. No. This is the closest I've gotten though so far. Can't be mad at that, I guess. I haven't even gotten close yet. This is the first time I've even gotten close.
It wasn't exactly solved, but this was closer than any attempt I'd had before combined. So I just kept on trucking. Next attempt. And this one felt different. The execution felt clean. The memorization felt solid. I took my time, I kept the cube oriented in my hand properly. I meticulously went through every setup move and algorithm. And when I got to the end, I genuinely thought I had it, only to be off by 2 edges.
Here, and then back. This should be solved. This should be solved. Please be solved. Please be solved. Fuck! Are you serious? No! You're kidding! You're actually kidding. What? Why? No.
The cube was so close to being solved, but just one part was wrong. And thinking back, I realized exactly what happened. I had one letter wrong during my memorization step.
Did I f up? I think no, dude. This one was flipped. Why? That's it. That's it. I just should have, instead of lap, it should have been lage, and then it would have been done. And then it would have been done. And then it would have been done. And then it would have been done.
And this was probably the most painful realization in the entire challenge. Because I wasn't even completely off anymore. I was this close. I was literally right there. Victory was in sight. So I scrambled it again. And somehow this scramble already had 4 pieces solved.
Okay, this one has 4 somehow. I swear I'm not making this shit up, by the way. Like, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 pre-solved.
But at this point, I was not going to complain. After 11 hours, if the cube wanted to be a bit nicer to me, you know, I'd take it. But I still had to solve it, so I planned out everything as carefully as I could. And funny enough, the 4 solved edges didn't even do anything because there were multiple sets of 2 edges that were inverted. So I basically had to go through the same amount of moves as any other solve. Anyways, map the solve out and put the scarf on. I made sure green was facing forward and started my next attempt. The first few edges felt good. I was moving a bit slower than I wanted to, but that didn't matter. At this point, I just needed to do what I've been doing the entire time, no matter how long it takes. I got through the edges and then moved on to the corners. One step at a time, I kept solving, and this time, it felt right. After everything that had happened, I was almost a bit scared to check, but 11 hours later,
U prime back to here. This is solved, 100%. I'm confident. It's solved. It's solved. It's solved. Dude. That's beautiful. That's fucking beautiful. I'm so happy about that. I finally got it done. How long did that take? That probably took like 10 hours, probably more than 10 hours, dude.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, even if it didn't seem like it at times. And I'm glad I was actually able to solve this within my self-imposed 12-hour limit. I'll be making more similar content in the future where I learn skills I'm interested in. So stay tuned and subscribe if that's something you'd like to see more of. And if you have any ideas on what I can learn next, drop them down in a comment below because I read each and every single one of them. If any of you want to learn how to do this yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description for the tutorial I used so you can try it out as well. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like because it truly helps me out a ton. And until next time.